Hello, I'm your host, Leonard Duncan. Welcome to a new episode of ATV-TALK and Motorsports Podcast. Please join us every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We bring you interviews with industry professionals, live events, live news about the motorsports industry in every episode. Enjoy the show. Cody Collier, welcome back to ATV-TALK. How are you, brother?
Yeah, it's been a while, man. No, happy to be here. Happy to be doing an episode again. Looking forward to getting back to our pre-race shows and post-race shows. But I've been having a great off season up here in Ohio, and looking forward to the year and everything.
Oh, just a highlight on our race reports. The YouTube has taken them and made their own show. So instead of it being just part of the ATV-TALK podcast platform, they divided it up into three, where the shows like this are one, the race reports are one, and then on the road are a totally other thing. And they did it all on their own.
Very nice, very nice. No, glad to be part of it, man.
That's great. How many race reports do you think that have been done so far since you came up with the idea?
I mean, you do me and Moto. You do the GNCC and you do the Moto every time, right?
Yep.
Is that it? It's just those two series, correct?
I used to do some work stuff as well.
Yeah, here and there, here and there. I don't know how many rounds does Moto have a year, like 15?
10.
They have 10. They have less. Okay. I thought they had more. Must just be all the motos. Must be all the motos they do. I mean, you gotta be near 100 by now. 120.
No, it's 51.
It's only 50.
Yeah, it's only 51.
I thought we've been doing this for 2 years now. So, like, if you're counting pre and post race as the same show.
No, because the pre-races go on Instagram.
Okay. Oh, well, if you're counting those, then it would be right at 100, right? I was counting those in my head. So,
yeah.
Okay, 100. If you're counting those.
Yeah, if you're counting both, it's pretty awesome stuff.
No, very cool. Like I've said 100 times, it's very cool to get the little in-depth behind-the-scenes stories that you can't just don't always make the GNCC post, So it's nice to get all the little things that happen, at least for me, myself, that week and what I've seen.
I'm getting excited for the seasons to start. You guys are going to have some really competitive stuff. But before we go there, I want to get behind the scenes on the 2024 season. Talk to me about some of the things that went on, because it didn't seem like the season flowed as well as normal for you.
No, it was I mean, I guess we start from the start, after the season we had in 23, kind of knew 24 was going to be a dogfight with me and Frazier. Knew he was going to be back for the full schedule. Landon was in full retirement mode at that point, so I knew it was going to be me and Frazier, and he had learned a lot, and it's going to be some good racing. I was looking forward to the battling. I like someone being there, pushing me and everything, keeping me honest. So it was great that he stepped up. When Landon stepping out doing the family thing, and great that Frazier was able to step in, and we've had great battles all year long like usual. But I knew that was coming in to the start of the season, but got the win at round one, pretty demanding win. I think I was leading over a minute going into the last lap. So just that felt good. Going into the season felt really good, and I got the win at round one. I think that makes it 4 years in a row, at least 3 years in a row that I won round one, and felt good. And then going into Florida, bad luck last year with an illness, and felt good though. We all got off to a good start. Me and Frazier out front, and we were battling pretty heavy. And my car was taking water. We were getting water on one of the spark plugs, and it was grounding out one of the motors. So the spark plug boot wasn't doing its water to properly make it waterproof. So I was grounding out one of the heads and was misfiring on one of my heads. And I would lose, I bet, 30 seconds to 45 seconds a lap, just cut out for the 2 or 3 sections for 10, 15, 20 seconds at a time at least. So I lost a lot of time there, but still kept Frazier close on the last lap. I was bumper to bumper with him up until we had maybe a mile to go. There was an event where he got away from me when my quad was cutting out, and we hit a section of lap traffic, and I seen a bottleneck, and I went to cut left and go around it. And I seen Frazier was picking his way through on the track, picking through all of the stopped riders instead of just hopping to the side and making your own trail where there was a obvious bottleneck. And I guess he had caught a lap rider entering it and like rolled over and tipped it and got back going. I had missed all of that at that point by the time I got there. At the end of the section, I definitely could have gunned it and cut him off, but seeing everything that had gone on with all the drama on the season with the season before, I just thought that would be the right move. Let him lead. It's not how I wanted to pass anyways. He was trying to do the right thing, picking through the lap riders. So let him go, pulled in behind him. We just had a really good race from there. And I believe that was early on the last lap that happened. So it was on the last lap. I could have passed him there, chose not to. Rode his tail fenders all the way to about a mile, maybe less than that to go, hit another big water hole, and the quad just cut out, and that was all she had. I think I lost by 17 seconds that race. So I was there at Florida, felt good. And then Georgia round 3 this year was a super mud fest, super mud fest. We felt good going into it, got pulled a mean hole shot, and it was just really slick and trying to develop that line that first lap and just not wanting to make that mistake and lose a bunch of time and drop back in the pack. So trying to hold position. Frazier was able to reel me in. Me and him just kind of checked out, kind of a consistent story this year, me and Frazier out front, but I know felt really good. Led up until I had a really big get off, coming out of the field section, kind of drifting across the left-hand corner in some standing water. And as soon as I pitched it to like sit in the rut, a piece of mud flew in my eye where I tossed my goggles off going to that field section. There's a low hanging branch, blew my goggles apart. Came in that field section with no goggles, piece of mud hit my eye, and where I kind of like let off the throttle for half a second instead of accelerating into the rut. My rear end was able to walk up and out of the rut, and I slid into a stump 45, 50 miles an hour and just absolutely barrel rolled the thing.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one. Put a little bit of fear into me. I met Jesus, shook his hand, the whole 9 yards. Put a little fear into me, man. No, that was a good one. It was a good get off. I haven't had a big one like that on the 4x4 in a while. But I was able to instantly get back up and keep racing. I think I was only like 30 seconds down or so until the quad started to fail.
let me interrupt just real quick, just so that everybody understands. You're not riding a normal machine in retrospect. I mean, some of the sport quads can take a tumble like that and come away okay because they don't weigh 1,000 pounds. Your machine is a four-wheel drive, it's heavier, and the engine itself is heavy, and this causes the effect of what happened to your machine. If you could go into that a little bit.
Yeah, the inertia and momentum behind a flip like that is, double, same speed, but double the weight. So it's for those of you who don't know, I raced the 4x4. I'm a two-time 4x GNCC 4x4 pro champion. I've been doing that a while. Raced the XC1 class for a long time before that. Pretty much raced my whole life. So for those who don't know, go check out my other podcast. Talk a lot more in there. Ask any happy to answer any questions. Fill everybody in on a little bit of the behind the scenes stories and everything. I got a lot of good stories to tell. I've been doing this for a long time. But yeah, no. The big 4x4 rolled that thing. Typically, what happens when you roll it is that as soon as the quad touches the handlebars, they just fold from the weight. And it just because of the angle the steering stem's at, and just you can't really reinforce it, make it heavy enough steel to uphold that weight with a decent tip over. It's just a typical thing. I didn't happen to have that, so I guess it just hit its tires every time. My rear right trailing arm was at a 45-degree angle. I was still racing with it like that. It just folded it. I guess it wasn't cracked. It wasn't locking on me up until it broke down, which I'll get into in a second. But had that happen to me at Georgia, put a little fear into me. Was still trying to finish the race, still second. I was still trying to go for the win after that wreck. Still after it, just trying to keep myself close so I knew about what a mutter it was and the bottlenecks that happened and everything. I'm like, I feel like I can still at least hold pace enough to get second. Especially with being a super mutter, it's not sprint speed. I'm a little banged up from the wreck and everything. I'm like, I can ride well enough to at least hold second and keep Frazier honest in these conditions. And then the bike failed. That was the end of the day.
And was it a failure due to the rear end, the rear trailing arm caused it?
Nope, no sir, no sir. It held up just fine. But no, what ended up happening, I rolled it so hard. And the rear swing arm ended up hitting the ground at one point. I'll send you a picture of the GoPro that was mounted on the back. If you remind me after the show, you could post it or whatever. Put a little screenshot in here. destroyed the GoPro. Ended up landing on the back and bent the subframe a little bit, and I pinched all the stator wires against the frame, and the stator wires grounded out to the frame. So with it being an ECU bike, the stator produces 360 volts AC before it hits the voltage regulator mounted up on the subframe. So it grounded out 360 volts AC and sent that up the grounding system to my computer. And hindsight's 2020. We didn't know what caused the problem. We just changed everything that we could, and it ran fine afterwards. But we ended up like halfway melting the starting sequence contacts inside of the ECU. And so it was in a starting sequence RPM and function inside the motor and everything. So I was only going like 10 miles an hour with no power, and there was just one hill in the woods. It wouldn't make it. It just got to a point it just wouldn't go. So ended up making it to a road and getting towed out. I just had absolutely no power. I couldn't make it around the track with the conditions getting worse, and that being at the end of the second lap, I believe, maybe third.
Do you think that trailing arm would have finished?
I think so. With it being a low, with the conditions being so slow, and you're not hitting the G outs and everything as hard. Had it been a normal day, would have been a little sketchy. Don't know if I would have totally trusted it. But I didn't know it was that forward. I felt something was off, but it felt solid, so I just ripped it. Didn't look back. Honestly.
So how much, I mean, it did scare you a bit, but how much courage does it take to jump back on a machine that weighs that much and that is really in a violent crash like that? It's pretty frail. I mean, it could break the appendages off, no problem. And you jumped right back on and trusted it to keep going.
I mean, you can feel when something's wrong when you're going down the trail. I just took off, hit the next few corners. You can feel if something's damaged, and it felt solid. So,
well, I mean, if it feels solid and you trust it, I mean, you're the guy actually that rides it and understands that machine way better than I do. I mean, I got my first dose at riding one at the end of 2024 and really enjoyed it. But
yes, sir.
As long as you trusted it, I guess I don't have any more questions on that. I just think it's a little wow that it actually came through as well as it did.
I mean, even if it snapped off that trailing arm and I was spinning, 3 wheels, that probably would have disconnected. I probably would have lost the whole hub if it broke off and everything. I probably would have seen how far I could get with 3 wheels.
That's
in a race like that just to get points.
That's awesome.
Even after the wreck and everything. Just you only get 26 hours a season to give it everything you got in GNCC. You get 13 rounds, 2 hours apiece. If you're there, suck it up and do what you need to do. That's my mindset. If that helps you at the end of the year, that helps your points. And 2 weeks from now, you're going to forget about all the whining and crying you did in the moment.
Right, because because the green flag is going to drop again.
Yeah. I mean, it might have sucked in the moment, but you're gonna, it's I get a, feels good to me to know I've sucked it up time and time again and tried to make it happen no matter what's been thrown at me.
So after that, did you have to replace the machine itself?
No, just the stator wires coming in, the voltage regulator. We thought the voltage regulator. So we thought the problem was why it was misfiring was that the stator wires were grounding out against the frame, and it was stealing voltage to the voltage regulator, which was causing the ECU to act funny, like it was getting a lack of voltage, which is very voltage. Those things are touchy with voltages. So we replaced the stator wires, the voltage regulator itself, a few other things. Obviously, the trailing arm. Just got it back to 100% again. Everything it took to get back to 100%. We made it happen. But then that leads us into our next segment, which is Camp Coker. Ripped a mean hole shot at Coker. Felt really good. Was riding out front, and I was pulling away. I think Fraser got a mid-pack start. I was checking out, and I came around lap 2, and Fraser was on the side of the track. He'd obviously had a mechanical broken down. His fan, the fuse for his fan. No, the fuse for his fuel pump. I'm sorry, the fuse for his fuel pump kept on blowing. So they were doing same mindset as me, I guess. They were doing everything that they could to make sure he got at least one lap in to get some points. I think they ended up like shoving a couple staples in there, I think is what I heard. Don't quote me. They did what they needed to do to get one lap in and get some points, right? So they did what they had to do. I was riding out front, having a great race. Minutes ahead, absolutely cruising. And then that starting sequence in the ECU that had mostly fuse shut for some reason, an hour and 45 minutes into the race, 4 miles from the finish line, decided to fuse shut and lose all power.
Oh.
So it happened again, so it just flew. Hindsight's 2020. How do you foresee that? So now we'll know. Now if we have an instance where the stator's ground out, probably a good idea to change your ECU. Unfortunately, if you're in a race situation.
Oh, totally.
So
They don't have a firewall in there to protect against something like that?
maybe not 360 volts. I guess not. But that's 100% what it was. Mike took it back and plugged into the computer and read the functions of the what was going on, and it was throwing auto start codes. So,
wow.
So that unfortunate lost the win. I think I ended up getting 4th or 5th. I ended up unplugging our 24-volt battery. I ended up using the 12-volt loop and plugging it back in until something gave. So it finally stopped auto firing. I got to start up. I ripped for literally one corner and it started auto firing again. And I just held it matted for 4 miles. I was not going to let it bog and die. I just held it matted, grabbed all the brakes, and I was like, I'll burn a clutch out of this thing today if that's what it takes for me to finish this lap. So, and I was still, I think, in P2 by the time I got that going, maybe P3.
But you got it across the finish line to get the most points that you could.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
So it wouldn't start after the race. I had to get towed back to my truck.
Unreal. So it ate that ECU completely.
Just that starting sequence, I guess the only noticeable thing that got fried that was affecting the quad in any noticeable way I noticed.
But we can't take them apart and fix that.
Not that I'm aware of, or a skill I don't have yet.
Right. Most of that stuff is molded together in such a way that I guess you'd have to be part of the factory team that puts them together to figure out how to take them apart.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some way if you really know what you're doing with it. But I do not. I haven't put that time into it.
On the old 250R three-wheelers, the CDIs would fail. And one of the things they did is they would set them in the oven. Not hot enough to melt the outer plastic, but they would just set them in the oven for X amount of time. And I guess they would get hot inside and they would work again afterward. I don't know.
Interesting. I don't know the science behind that, but I'm with you.
I don't know either. I just know that it did work occasionally, not every time, but it did work occasionally. We did that back in the 80s. I think that was before you were born.
Yeah, yes, sir. It's young pup.
Exactly.
I'm quickly turning into one of the veterans in the class, ironically,
You've been around the GNCC series for a long time. How many years?
I'm 26. I've been racing since I was 6 years old. And so 20 years of racing experience. And this will be my 18th season doing the nationals, I believe, full time.
That's incredible. There's not that many people in this series that have been around as long as you then.
No, I don't, not really, man. I mean, there's a lot of people that are, I don't know. There's a lot of people that are around. They're just always there, always around. Some people come and go, but I say I'm, one of the best. Well, almost one of the best now.
So when you're being around that long, not to get away from what we're talking about, but you've been around that long, do you get involved in some of the development of classes or some of the things that the promoter might talk about changing, just rules, things like that?
I'm always there, always happy to give an opinion. I've given several things during GNCC pro riders meetings over the years, and generally they've gone over well and like the idea. I went to shout out my guests real quick. Low Country Hair Scrambles went out there this past weekend, raced their first ever event, their startup series. they're just asking. I was able to be helpful to them. They're asking me different questions. I was able to give my input. Just with I raced dozens and dozens of different racing series, and so I've been around the block. I've seen a few things. I might have some good ideas. You might not like some of them, but I think I can be helpful. Anybody who's looking for something like that.
Well, for the amount of years that you have put in, I mean, there's not that many people that stick around 20 years in a series like that. That being said, when you go to a local event like that, do you ride the 4x4 or are you riding the 450?
Yeah, no, whatever I want, man. That's a beautiful thing. I don't have no factory sponsorship with Can-Am. Even if they did, I would tell them to get me a 450. I like riding my 450 every now and then. I like to mix it up. I got a couple of overall wins last year on 450s, a couple on 4x4s. I just won this low country hare scramble event. There was no, big name hitters there, but I think I won the overall by Mike Seeger's my mechanic said I won it by 15 minutes. So I imagine it's somewhere in that ballpark.
That's pretty impressive. When you go to the locals of any form, are they always the same format or similar format to the way they do it in the GNCC series?
Very similar, very similar. It's a good concept. It's a good base. Can't really go wrong with it. Some locals do one day events. So typically, what they'll do is bikes race first, then quads. Because bike riders just complain about quad ruts, and the quad riders are just we don't complain much. So
Well, we've been put in a situation where most of the time we just have to deal with whatever there is, and you don't get to complain.
yep. Beggars can't be choosers sometimes, but no. We're just we'll go over those bike ruts in a lap or two, and we'll make our own lines, and it's all good. Not a big deal to us, I guess.
I know there's a lot more to talk about in the 2024 season, but we're getting more involved in some of the questions that are, you know, leading to what makes the series so good. And one of the things is it's a 1 day format for most of the riders, don't you think?
Yeah. No, we've talked about that 100 times. If you didn't get to check out the not 100 times, I'm sorry. No, we've talked about that before. Like if you guys haven't checked out me and your and Joe Toll's our Sunday report with all the 4x4s, and we touched on that, got into that pretty in depth. Talk about different classes they could or should implement, different things we could do. But yeah, man, I don't know.
Are you looking for the best suspension technology for your sport ATV? Look no further than Elka Suspension, the industry leader in sport ATV suspension technology. With championship wins in prestigious events such as the Dakar Rally, Score, Best in the Desert, ATV MX, Cross Country, and Works, Elka Suspension has established itself as the go-to choice for athletes and enthusiasts alike. But they don't just stop at ATVs. They're constantly expanding into new markets, including UTVs, trucks, SUVs, pit bikes, snowmobiles, and more. Their commitment to innovation and quality means they're always looking to improve and adapt so you can enjoy a smooth ride wherever you go. Want to learn more about what Elka Suspension can do for you? Visit their website at elkasuspension.com or give them a call at 450-655-4855. They will always be happy to answer your questions and help you find the perfect suspension solution for your needs. I don't know. That doesn't help lead me into a secondary question, brother. But that's okay. For 2025, are you going to be on the same style machine or the same machine that you were on in 2024?
Yep, yes, sir, absolutely. Now we're back at it. I've been reaching out for some different support from different factories, things I've been lining up, but no, we're back on the Can-Am again for 25. It's a really solid program. Can't go wrong with it. It's only 2 championships. Um, no, it's being built right now. Just got the motor put in it tonight by Mike. He just sent me some pictures and videos. So build's underway. We're super excited about it. Got another beautiful build coming, something different, something spicy. So looking forward to it, man.
Any change in any of the package from last year? I know you guys are always trying to develop better and better stuff. Did any of the sponsors or any of the stuff that we need to know about, and is any of that changed?
Um, I mean, we can start at the top. 9-2 got new owners this year. They're actually company. I've been talking to the owners there, and they're super receptive of any and all notes and um, things that could help to grow the 9-2 as a brand. They're talking about expanding and doing some different things, and just about improving the product in general. So I think in the next couple of then they seem pretty serious about it and is pretty into it. So I think in the next couple of years, the 9-2 crew is going to start becoming a really, really good product on top of everything else they do. So a top tier premier product. They seem really into wanting to do it right. So looking forward to that. Don't really have any help on the gear end or anything. Still doing my thing. Reached out to a few places. Just didn't really get a deal I liked, so just doing my own thing there again. But I got flex bars, running them again. Last year was my first year with them. Really like them. They've been really good to me. Very, very comfortable bars. Even switching from the solid bars, very comfortable. Almost instant switch. Like you didn't really notice it. I run the double reds because I like my bar stiff. I didn't like the concept of cushy bars. I might be better for some people for softer ride, but I want something more rigid with that little bit of give, and they've been great. I'm actually running Flex brand bark busters this year as well. So they got me the double hooked up from the checkup from the neck up. They got the quad hooked up top for the controls. So shout out Flex bars. Elite Graphics got me looking good again. Got, like I said, really cool things on all the kits. Their graphic designers are awesome. The product's awesome. Quad Tech, nothing else I'd rather have grip on my butt. They're great. Don't want to do a big sponsor shout out, but I got so many good sponsors around me. I really can't do it without them. The people you see on my bike and that I do think they truly do help me and support the sport, and I believe in their concept and their culture and what they're doing. So got nothing but good people around me.
Well, that's what it takes to have a great program. They got you there with 2 championships and, a second. So that's not bad. You can't shake a stick at that. Some programs never even get on the podium. So if they're getting you on the podium and you're having great success with wins during the season and championships or fighting for titles, those are great sponsors to have. But that being said, development on a 4x4 machine, being that I got to ride one this year and get a little bit of a taste of experience, not from the performance machine that you ride, but a little bit of what it's like to ride something that big. How do you prep the suspension to handle the weight? I mean, is it something where the developer of your shocks has been out riding the machine, or is it all done between you and your mechanic?
Yeah. One more thing about the sponsors. I want to say I have 95, at least 90% of the same sponsors from the day I came over to the 4x4 from the sport quads, and I'd say about 80% of the same sponsors throughout most of my career. So I got really good people around me, really loyal to my brands, and they're loyal to me. And we, take care of the people that take care of you, right? So,
Right. Right.
yeah, no, just appreciate them. All good stuff there. But as far as suspension goes on these things, got to be super stiff to handle all that weight. I don't know. I don't know all the science and math behind it. My boy Mike McDonough over at Custom Axis, he's always done beautiful work for me from the sport quad days. My entire XC2 and XC1 career, I was with him, and I have him again on the 4x4 package. We tried a couple different things. We did dual rate suspension when I first came over. I haven't heard anyone doing air shocks on these things or anything yet. I don't know if they make air shock seals. I'll handle the weight and everything just yet. But I've been running dual rates on them. I imagine that the pistons on them are massive. They're not like a Baja truck pistons or anything, but they're they've got thicker pistons than your sport quads and everything. Bigger build, bigger body on the shock. Yeah, we ran dual rates for a while. We switched over to the triple rates. I was having different problems, not problems with the shocks. They worked really well. I won a championship with the dual rate suspension. I made one change to them from the day I switched over from the sport car to the 4x4. He gave me a set of shocks. I was like, hey, they need to be stiffer, a little bit more rebound. Really close, dude. He made that one change. I was happy with it. I didn't touch a clicker. I just shut up and rode the thing. And I adjusted to what the suspension was doing. It was riding great on 90, 95% of the track. You can't expect your suspension to work everywhere beautifully. I'm sure if I dialed in the clickers here and there, it could have been a little bit better. But I just was of the mindset of make it work. So, and I made it work for 3.5 seasons. Got my first 2 years on it, got a championship, rode half a season with it, and we got to do some private shock testing with the Axis crew. And we figured a lot of stuff out. I was having problems with body roll and the quad tipping once you used up all the secondary spring, the small spring up top, or getting that primary spring. And if you could press into it, but it would rebound. You couldn't really hold that primary spring at a tilt. So you would either tip or it would bounce back and you wouldn't get as much body roll as you wanted. So we ended up moving to a triple rate spring, a lot more progressive, a lot smoother to ride with. And I can hit any hole as about as hard as I want to, and I don't feel it. There's no chatter from the bike. If you, I got my GoPros from last year. I'm getting ready to go through them and post them on YouTube and everything as well. So if you guys want to watch some GoPros, me riding a little bit, see it from first person point of view, I'm going to repost those. But just notice the lack of chatter you would expect from these massive machines. It's just so quiet, the suspension on them.
I mean, to watch you drift between the trees at speed on a 4x4 is pretty incredible stuff. I mean, anybody that can, you should go watch these videos because you think that, oh, it's just a 4x4 quad. Who would want to do that? No, these things are high performance. These guys are extremely talented. So you need to go watch these videos. You know, I really like the fact that you guys have went out and done that testing to make the machines ride better. Are there any things that you guys do to the motors for performance wise? You know, are we putting high compression pistons in them, cams, anything like that yet? Or is it still mainly just the clutching and a tune on the stock ECU?
Yeah, that's where we're at right now. There's a 4x4 rider or two that would mess with some built motors, but they weren't really a front runner. So no, nobody's really messed with it. I think 1,000 cc's in the lid is just about anybody could want and handle. But just one more thing on the shocks, guy. I think we might do this here and there. I might go back on something on a subject or two. But with the shocks, if you guys do have a 4x4 and want to, get a fuel for those shocks that I'm talking about, I made, one of my things is I'm big on is no secrets. We just want to put it out there. But my whole shock package, as is, all the settings, all the everything, all the clickers, I put it out for the public. So you can buy my shocks right now from Axis and have them shipped to your house.
That's pretty cool. Not every rider lets that happen.
Yeah, no, so no, I just want to help the next guy, want to help him learn, want to build the sport, want to make everybody as good as they can be. And I think, if I give as many people all the knowledge I have around me, I think it's just, they'll start talking about that and they'll have better ideas to get back to me, and, sport will just grow.
Exactly. I agree with that. I want to ask questions about the drivetrain. We had a conversation on one of our race reports about the throttle control and the axles and the power steering. That if you were to either be in the throttle too soon or hit like G outs too hard, you could damage those components. Is there upgrades to the axles or the hubs or even the steering that will prevent that from failing?
So yeah, no, pretty much with the only really limiting things about these squad is one, off cameras and the tilt they have, and maybe being able to toss it to a corner here and there. But limiting thing is G outs in a big race situation. So just the G outs where you just have we're going from a down to an up, and you got all that momentum and force and impact on the way down. That force and momentum has to go somewhere, and based on how you hit it on these 4x4s, you can either have that momentum you bounce over the momentum, or have that force hit your quad, and it can be dispersed in all sorts of different ways. And one of them is through your drivetrain system. So if you land too hard on the front and it binds up your front wheels from all this free spin where you hit the front and it comes to a lock, it can blow all that pressure where your rear wheels are still spinning all the way back through the back, and it'll meet up in the differential and explode your differentials. It's happened time and time again. It's how the force is dispersed.
Is it if you're in the throttle, is it something that happens more prevalently, or is it when you're out of the throttle that it happens more prevalently?
Definitely in the throttle. Out of the throttle won't be good either. You know, if you notice that into something, you're totally off the throttle and your motor's starting to decelerate and you land into it, it's not only going to bind really bad, but it's going to rob you of all of your momentum. And so instead of having some forward drive, you're probably going to go over the bars or something if it's too big, right? So you're going to land on the throttle to some degree. You know, landing on the brakes can have the same effect. Like if you were to like jump into a corner and be like, oh crap, and land on the brakes. You can definitely damage your four-wheel drive system then. It's not so much A-arms and, you know, tie rods and things of that nature, unless you smoke a tree or something, right? We're specifically talking G-outs and landing, right? And then also, like if you land on the throttle too hard, you know, if you land on your rear tires or on your front tires, that all that pressure and torque is going to go to the front, and it may or may not be able to keep up, and it's going to blow if you put too much force. There is a fine line with that.
So throttle control is really critical on the 1000 cc machine.
So I guess the best way I can describe it, what I try to do, is I try to see the angle and momentum I'm landing at, and try to get the right tilt, the best tilt to the quad that I can, and try to have the best hit the throttle at the right time to spin the wheels, but have it with no pressure to the system, where it pulls forward with no back pressure to the four-wheel drive system.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does to a point to me, maybe not some of the listeners, but it translates to me as throttle control, as you know how much throttle to give it at each given time, you know, as you're entering or exiting, you know, you don't want to be in the gas too much. It's just like coming off of a jump and you're in the throttle too deep and, you know, the rear tires hit the ground, it can cause damage to the drivetrain as well because
And
of the
and
blast.
and in the dangers of starting to sound like Rhino too much with all of this, I think it's about understanding the relationship between the force you're putting to the ground and the force the ground's going to give back,
Right. I
and
totally agree.
figuring out how to free spin your what you got going on to where it neutralizes it.
Right. And that how long, I mean, as you transitioned from the 450s to the four-wheel drives, was it a huge learning curve or did it come pretty good, pretty quick to you?
It was pretty much instant. I would override the thing, not understand its limits, not respect its limits, and how hard and everything it can throw you. So um, no, just it was almost instant. That's always been my thing. I can pretty much ride anything with four wheels and a motor. My dad did what we could to race what we had. Started off with Honda 90s and Honda 300s, and just started out small, and just eventually got to this point where we started getting all get good support, and start to really do this at a high level. And you know, he's putting a lot of work into his company. You know, shout out Dad. No, I can't do it without you. I put a lot of work into his company to he owns electrical business. I'm a journeyman and a foreman for him for an electrical union company. I work 40 plus hours a week. I've been working 64 hours a week almost all winter trying to keep ahead on a project for him. I'm trying to help do my part to grow the business now and make it a thing. But yeah, no, he put on his work to make the racing happen. He knew what it takes. Saw what the monster I was becoming, what it would take to do all of this. So he did what he could to make it happen for me. Him and my mom. You know, it was a team effort from him.
Right. That's pretty cool. Has there been any schedule changes or venue changes that you're looking forward to, or is it still all the same places?
Uh, Talladega. Talladega's coming up.
Okay.
That's
How
very cool. We're racing on Talladega property. I don't know how close we want to allow us heathens to the actual racing stadium, but no, very cool. Actually, be on property. I guess they got like I think they said 400 acres. Again, don't quote me, but a lot of riding property, a lot of nice land. So we'll see. Year one, don't know what to make of it. I hope it's really good.
have
Tennessee
you
was
done
really
any?
good to us last year, which unfortunately I'll be missing Tennessee this year because I'll be doing the Hunt the Wolf race in Romania.
You're gonna miss around?
Yep. All I gotta do, you know, if this dialogue continues of me and Fraser, you know, being 1-2, if me and Fraser go 1-2 all year, all I gotta do is win 10 races and I get the championship.
Oh, only you only have to.
Actually, nine if you do the count breakers of total wins. I only have to win nine, or I guess it would be 10 because it's odd rounds. I'm still stuck where we did the 12 round year, and I don't know why. But yeah, I would have to win 10 rounds this year to get it done. So that's it. That's all I got to do if Frazier just keeps on plugging ones and twos. So
So, what was the race that you're going to go do again?
Hunt the Wolf in Romania. It's supposed to, if you guys know Erzberg Rodeo, it's supposed to be that for four wheelers. It's supposed to be the gnarliest, mountainous, rockiest, most insane ATV race you can do in the world. I've never seen a sport ATV on track in any video, 4x4s only.
How rough do you think it's going to be?
It doesn't look rough. I mean, it looks gnarly, but I think I'm going to win. I'm not even going to lie. I think I'm going to win. I think I'm going to do really well. I might just be put my foot in my mouth later, but I feel really confident. I feel really good right now. I was doing some of my best riding ever at the end of the season last year. Just had some bad luck happen to me, but I bounced back from that wreck I had in Georgia, which don't know how long we have, but if we get to that, going through my year this year, started feeling really good. Started feeling like my best self. Started getting my stuff together, and yeah, just feel really good right now on the bike everywhere. Life feels good. I feel good. Everything feels good.
How did you find out about this race in Romania?
I've been watching it for years. It popped up on YouTube or something one day when I was I don't 10 years ago. I don't know. I've been watching it for years. It's been around for. I think this is going to be their 19th year. I again, don't quote me. I think it's like 17th, 19th year somewhere in there. They're doing this event. Looks gnarly. Looks really cool.
That's awesome. I will definitely have to make a sidebar to talk about that. What month is that going to happen in?
Uh, May 12th through something, I believe. I think it's April. My wife was telling me May the other day. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's April. I'm not. So she's got me tripped up. So I gotta double check the date.
Did did you already order or enter it? And do you have to
I'm
ship
up.
the machine over early?
Yeah, no. I'm trying to do a whole vlogging experience with everything we're going to do behind it. Again, we signed up for it. I made a video announcing intended on coming and everything. And I'm going. We want to do full bike prep. It's totally different setup, totally different tires that you want, totally different. You gotta have wenches and a GPS mounted to the thing, and I'm going to pack different like tie rods and different things on the machine. So I'm going to be as prepped as I can to make it happen.
How much actually? So if you're out there and you have an axle issue, I'm assuming that you already know how to replace these components, even though you have somebody that builds your machine for you. You have to be able to do some of this yourself.
You'd be surprised how many people don't know how to turn a screwdriver. So there's a lot of people that not that maybe not that extreme, but there's a lot of people that have no clue. They have a mechanical issue. They have no clue. I've lost my kill tether before and I understand how electrical works, obviously. So I just knew it was a set of contacts. They need to be open or closed, and I didn't know what the solid state of that one was. So I ripped the wires off, tried to start it. It didn't start. Twist the wires together. It started. So just knowing little things like that, I have saved myself dozens of finishes just by knowing what's going on with the machine.
So you feel pretty confident that if you have a axle issue or some type of issue over there, so it's not catastrophic, that you'll be able to take care of it.
Mike might give me crap about how I got it done, but I'll get it done.
That's that's okay. That is okay. I don't care how you bring it back to me. Just bring it back to me.
Ain't stupid if it works.
Correct, correct. Finishing you to finish first, you must first finish, even if you have to use bubble gum and baling wire or rocks, whatever it takes to get yourself to the finish line, right?
Yeah, I got all sorts of stories. Like one, I snapped my rear drive shaft at a local event, and there's a steep uphill just part of the track. There wasn't really a way out of this valley, and I couldn't make it in front wheel drive because it just didn't have any weight on it. So I reversed up the hill instead of sitting there for hours.
Really?
Yeah,
How hard was it to reverse up it?
a little tricky with everybody racing and yelling at me and trying to drive around me, and me trying to like see people coming and dip off the track and then roll back forward down the hill and then try to reverse back up through the ruts. Because this was like over an hour into the race. A little tricky.
Oh yeah, I bet it would be. But you got it done.
Yeah, it happened. Got to top the hill, turn around, drove out forward.
How different does the machine work, four-wheel drive or without four-wheel drive, and it's just front-wheel drive?
Sketchy. sketchy. You push so hard, the weight and the ground clearance that you have, you just don't really have a whole lot of weight on those front tires in general. The only reason that they work so well is because when you're in four-wheel drive, if you can throw a little bit of weight on it and get that tire to dig and give it a little throttle, it pulls.
Okay.
That's the trick, is getting the front tires to pull you, not necessarily steering on them as much, in my mind at least.
Okay. Okay. So when you don't have the rear wheel drive, it's not getting the same traction.
Well, it's all in the rear. It's not as distributed drive, so it's going to pull differently and everything. But as far as cornering and everything goes too, you just don't. It'll just push. Then the front also, so like you're rolling into a corner, right, and you have the four-wheel drive. All four tires are rolling at the same speed, right? So you're going to be rolling it always. But if you turn into a corner, you got too much weight in that you're only in two-wheel drive. That front left tire can lock up from all the weight.
Okay. Okay.
So there's a lot of little different things that go into that. The not having the four-wheel drive. And there's a lot of different things that go into having the four-wheel drive and understanding how to use it to the best of it, what it does, and actually understanding it.
Right. Are the replacement times pretty much set in stone for replacing drive shafts or power steering units or axles on your machines?
For my program, yes. Different parts have different things. Everybody's got their own program. I go through things. My program is one of the probably better proactive on these 4x4s. I'm hard on stuff, so I'm going to have more stuff go out bad more often than most people. So I'm going to have more parts a year into it. But yeah, absolutely, we have a really good maintenance program. Being proactive about things, we kind of know when things start to let loose, when things go bad. So we talk about, I know how hard of hits I put on things. I know when to check things, and that goes into the equation as well.
So that's
me and my mechanic have a very good relationship on and off the track. But as far as being a team on how to make the quad last and everything, we're getting a really good program in Formula.
so the axles are splined, and the I believe the inner hub has got a spline, and the outer. Is it the hub spline that fails, or the axle spline that actually fails?
Typically, the axle they make it that way so that the axle trips out, not your diff. They make it a softer metal.
Okay. Okay. It makes total sense. It's just, do you have the inner portions fail as well?
Just the inner portions like to end up on the outsides when they fail for me.
On the hubs?
The differential.
Okay.
I explode the differential when they fail for me.
Okay.
So like it's not so much I am putting hits on it that are within the limits, but I am still putting hits and stress on that inside. So we do proactively change those.
How long how long does one generally last? 3 races, 5 races?
I believe we're on a 4-race schedule for the front diff, and then at halfway through the season we do a rear or summer break.
Okay.
It just depends on the race and what kind of hits I had and how things are feeling.
Are they rebuildable, or do you have to buy new?
We just buy new ones. They're not really rebuildable. We open them. We do some internal work to the diffs. We weld the visco lock out, so they're just always locked in. There's no slip to my differentials.
Okay.
No, but not, I don't know. None of the top riders do it, but it's a personal preference of mine.
And did you do that from day one, or is it just something that you learned over time?
It was something when I was first with BNR, I was kind of pushing. When BNR Motorsports was building my bike, and I still got a lot of support from them, still a lot of help from BNR. They're great people, really great product. I do a lot of great things. But for my mechanic, I've switched over to Mike Seegers. But with KMK Off Road, also make a lot of great product, do a lot of great work. Both really good companies. Love them both. Pick your side. Love them both. But no, BNR, them were kind of back and forth on locking it or not. And I believed I'd ridden one where it was locked, and I absolutely loved it. But they were pushing the non-visco lock because that's what everybody was doing. Then I raced a super muddy race and tossed it into a corner where the mud was thick on the outside, and where it will slip if there's too much back pressure. I almost died because that front left tire just locked up, and I just started swapping on that front left tire. So I was like, "That's it, I'm done." When I hit the gas, that tire is spinning.
Right. I get that. I think that would be a much better, safer way to do it than to have it lock up like that.
There are advantages to it. When you get down to it, there are a lot of advantages to it, but just I don't. I will make it work to not have to worry about that. To me, it's worth the trade off. My riding style, the way I approach the track, I like knowing that that tire is going to spin, not having to guess at the pressures in those type of events.
I think that's great. You know, knowing the machine as well as you do. I mean, the way you describe it to me, it's almost an extension of your body when you're riding it.
Everything is feeding back. If you feel for it, it's going to feed. And again, in the risk of sounding too much like Rhino, like I am in tune with the bike. I'm feeling everything it's doing. And this is a Ricky Carmichael quote. It's not how well you can ride your bike; it's how well you can ride with your bike. You are an extension of the bike. The bike's not an extension of you.
Are you ready to be captivated by one of nature's masterpieces? Discover the breathtaking beauty of Antelope Slot Canyon, a natural wonder in Page, Arizona. Join us on a guided tour and immerse yourself in the mystical light beams, rich colors, and serene landscapes. With tours at prime sunbeam hours, experience photographer's paradise and capture memories that will last a lifetime. Comfortable shoes, a camera, and a smile are all you need for this adventure. Book your journey today at Antelope Slot Canyon Tours and let the canyon enchant you. Please visit us now, antelopeslotcanyon.com, for more details.
So
It's
it's doing its thing, and you have to make. Excuse me. You have to understand what it does and what it's capable of, and ride within its limits.
right. And it sounds like through our conversation, this is one of the things that I probably should have used that phrase at the beginning of this dialogue, because that's exactly what you're doing by learning, all the things. They say the greatest dyno you can have is the one in the seat of your pants. And it's
Yeah.
basically the feel from your handlebars or what you're feeling through your hands, through your feet, the vibration between your legs. This is giving you all feedback, especially, I'm assuming the same with your suspension, you know, as the machine drifts through the rough, you're feeling what it's doing and able to, manage it accordingly.
Yeah, and I mean, and with all of that being said, I rode this thing for 3.5 years before I developed the shop, and we hit every key component that I wanted to. And like I said, I believe in all my sponsors. I love all of my product, and I'm aware of all these things, and I truly believe I have the best package out there for XC racing on a 4x4. I'm sure that there's things that I'm missing and things I can understand better and work on, but right now where I'm at, while still trying to grow and everything, it's a really good platform.
Exactly. Do you think that there's going to be upgrades in the 4x4 platforms coming in the future?
I mean, we already talked about the Gen 3. Again, if you guys don't check out the Sunday shows, me, Leonard, and Joe Toll from ATV-TALK, we hit on that a little bit with the Gen 3s and everything. But I mean, yeah, it's going to one day, right? Unless it's a Suzuki RM450, it's just going to evolve someday.
Right.
And it should. It has a really good package right now, but you shouldn't be trying things just to try things. You should have a concept of what the advantage is to what you're doing.
Well, yeah, like let's just say if the Gen 3 becomes something, you're going to have to develop that package before you take it to the racetrack, correct?
I mean, generally, yeah. And I'm not, unless they decide to sign me to some deal this year, I'm not, attached to pushing their new product by any means. I want to do what's best for me and my program and my racing career right now. I don't have any ties to a factory, so I'm gonna do what's best for me right now. So, but I believe for a year or two, unless we got a bike and started doing some testing on it, where we wouldn't get a bike without support unless we believed it was better long term and it was worth putting the effort to.
So you could run the Gen 2 4, 5, 6 more years until you needed to, due to inavailability or being non-available. That's when you would switch.
Probably, and we would see that light at the end of the tunnel and start developing and have something ready. We wouldn't not be ready if that was the case. But yeah, I mean, if the Gen 2s, we believe it to be the better package, we'll stick with it unless things change. But the Gen 3, I got to ride a little bit, but it was the Outlander model. So it wasn't a race setup by any means. I kind of liked it, but it wasn't the right setup at all. So I didn't want to be too judgmental. So I'm still open-minded about it. It did things I liked, things I didn't like. So it was definitely different for sure. But that might just be part of it. It's going to be different when you make a race package on it versus the Gen 2. I have no clue how that's going to end up on a race package.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I don't think the Outlander is the one that you want to even think of developing. You want to do it with the Renegade, which is more the sporty model, and it's going to be something that you'd be a little more familiar with right out of the box, right?
Yeah, I mean, how I understand it is that the motor package and the chassis package will be identical. It'll just be the shocks you get with it and the tuning on those shocks from factory, and then like whatever clutching or ECU or whatever motor restrictions they put on them. Like to me, they would have the same package minus whatever restrictions they have and suspension they have. So I mean, if you like the square body more and want to build a square body and know the limits and are able to take them out and just put different shocks on it like you would anyways, no one's going to go out and race stock shocks. Generally speaking, you're going to at least get revalves if you're going to race. You can build an Outlander. I raced one for a while. I almost won an overall until I had a car wreck on it. No, just I wrecked pretty good. I wrecked pretty good on it, right? A couple miles from the finish, I thought a lapper was going to zig, and they zagged, so I had to zig, and it did not end up well. So,
wow.
But yeah, I raced a square body. Package is great. Just got to change, know what's different about it, and change it. Make it what you want.
So if I take all the fenders off of the Outlander, and I had a Renegade, like a Gen 2. If I take the fenders off of each model, are they identical?
To my understanding, yes.
So I could just put the fenders off my Renegade on my Outlander and vice versa and ride away.
I don't know if all of the plastic supports are bolted or if they would have one or two welded, but I've never had two sitting side by side like that. But to my understanding, they are a carbon copy minus a couple of little details.
Wow, I knew they were going to be close, but I didn't know they were that close.
Yeah, that's how I've had it told me that way by a couple of different people. Like I said, I haven't seen them side by side naked, so, but yeah.
Well, I know talking with you, Beans, that you get a little more critical on some of your chassis setups and things like that, that there are some things that will need to be upgraded on the Gen 3 before it can be a race model.
Oh yeah. No, and again, shout out Joe Toll and ATV on Demand. We did me and my mechanic Mike Seegers. He is a ex 4x4 pro racer, mechanic of the year for the Nationals. Very, very knowledgeable guy on these machines. Me and him got to test ride them, and we got a bunch of good footage, a lot of good content, everything we liked about it, everything we didn't like about it, it's all there. So what to look forward to, what not to look forward to. But Joe should be posting that in the next couple of months, I imagine. He has a lot of projects going on. He does a lot of really cool stuff. So he'll get to us when he gets to it, but cool video to look forward to if you want a little bit more details.
Well, beating up on Joe's always fun, but he's a great guy, and he needs to stop talking about politics and, do some of his work now, because things have changed.
He gets a little fired up. He's a fiery guy. He's a fiery guy.
Him and I have great conversations off the air that we can't talk about, but that's what we need to say. The GNCC season is getting ready to start. and we're all getting excited. Um, is there anything that you could predict or think that's coming that we're not prepared for the 2025 season? Doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you're a class any.
Before we move on to 25, you want to touch on 24 anymore?
We talked in depth about so many different things. Um, Other than you didn't walk away with the number one, what is your mental outlook coming away from the 2024 season?
Yeah. I guess I'll note real quick. If you guys do want me to go more in depth on all the episodes, comment. I'd be more than happy to do it. Me and Leonard will probably make time to make it happen if Leonard's cool with that. I would love to go in depth about every me and Fraser's whole battle and all season long and everything. So if you're interested, comment, give thumbs up, whatever, let us know. And if we get good feedback, we'll make it happen.
Well, yeah, we'll go back and do it. We just have delved into so many different things. But you're a two-time champion. You are very motivated about your career as a racer. And when you don't walk away with that number one plate, what does that do to you mentally?
He got lucky. Nah, no, man. I really fought all year long. At the end of the day, if I don't win, I don't get the championship. I know I gave it my all, and I can rest my head easy on that. I know I gave it my all, race in, race out. Powerline Park this year, my eyes literally shut down after the finish, and I had to get medical, flush my eyes out. I could not see for hours after the race. Lost my goggles, but was not letting Fraser get away from me. So I always give it my all. I can rest my head easy on that. And no, dude, no. I won snowshoe going to summer break. I won the first round back from summer break. I felt fantastic. Felt like I was going to win out and put myself in a good spot to win the championship. And had a thermostat failure while me and Fraser were 1-2. I was within 5-10 seconds of them at the Buckwheat GNCC. Thermostat failure, unfortunate. I was there. I was feeling racy. I was there. It was going to be a long 2 hours for the both of us. I know that. And then Penton, 1 round to go. Checked out, I think 45 seconds, almost to a minute lead. Just checked, feeling great. Rode the wheels off the thing. Figured out what the problem was. We're doing multiple things more than one thing to fix that issue, so it never happens again. Just unfortunate. And then with the points deficit, knowing how things were, and knowing the motivation of the Fraser crew, with mine or equal to mine, they got a lot of motivation to make it happen, race in, race out. And I knew they were going to get one lap no matter what. No matter what happened, they were getting one lap at that race. So I ended up opting out, raced the XC1 class at Ironman. It was good. But as far as mindset and everything goes, I mean, that's what led into my mindset going into the off season, right? I can lay my head easy on that at night. I was riding fantastic. I felt good. I feel good. I've been doing the training. I've been doing the eating right. I've been doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I feel good, man. I feel really confident. Like I said, I won the overall this weekend by 15 minutes. Doing the right things, I feel like.
So rolling into what we're looking at for the 2025 season, you're feeling really confident about what's coming.
I feel the best about myself, my riding, and everything I got going on into the season more than ever. I feel like I'm the best I've been.
How many years do you think that you can race at this level?
Dude, I feel like 10 years. I feel like I can do this forever. I feel like I got another 10 years in me. You see Tomac, his renaissance. I just watched his podcast with Gypsy Tales. I really like him. I love his mindset. I think we got a lot in common as far as the mindset and everything goes. And he's at 31. Like, dude, like I can do this. So don't see why not. It's whatever you make it, as long as your body can keep going and you are mentally engaged and do the right things. Why not?
So if we touch on that here just for a moment, you look at athletes in the modern day world, whether it be in motocross, ATV racing, football, baseball, age is becoming less and less of a factor. You have athletes participating at the highest level in their sport, deep into some athletes are making it into their mid 40s. Some others that normally would retire by 25, 26 are going into their 30s, like Tomac. So is this contributed to the style of foods, the training, or what do you, or is it the quality of the machine allowing it not to be so hard on your body? What do you contribute it to?
Oh, I've been hard on my body. The machine's been hard on my body. The quad's landed on me. I've landed in pretzels. No, I did. Yeah, no. Just mindset, I think, dude. Just wanting to. If you want to, you will. I want to. I enjoy the racing thing. I want to do this. I love the competitive side of it. I love the in depth. It keeps my brain working. I love that part of it. Pretty nerdy, if you couldn't tell. I love the in depth part of anything. Anything that's got a lot of depth to it, like this racing does. The millions of variables between the rocks and the roots and the moistures of the soil that constantly change corner to corner and lap to lap and year to year, and the direction of flow, and just how all of it comes together is just beautiful for me. So I will always be in love with the sport, and I don't see why I wouldn't race at the highest level as long as I can.
So what would you tell the young up and comer, that might be a little frustrated because they haven't got on the podium yet, or they haven't got some of the finishes that they would like as they're starting off their careers?
So here's the thing: as a parent, you got to speak to your audience and see where your kid's at. You can't just tell somebody, to lean left into a left-hand corner. In that kid's mind, their definition of what leaning left is, they might be leaning left because they're doing this, but you have to see what they're hearing and shift it and mold it and put them in the right mindset and in the right tracks on the right path. Just be overly honest with yourself. Don't kill yourself, but don't let yourself slack. Be like, I slacked in this corner. I didn't do this. I could have done this. What am I missing out of my package? What don't I understand? The one statement I say all the time for a blanket statement is, you're limited to your knowledge. If you don't understand your relationship between you, your machine, and the dirt, you don't know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can't create pace. You can't imitate pace. And if you don't, I don't know. It's a lot easier to follow than to lead, because anybody can copycat, right? Anybody can monkey see, monkey do.
Right.
To some degree, like there might be some things that you just have no clue of the concept of what they're doing to be able to replicate it. But if you understand the concept of what they're doing and you're behind them, you can replicate it 9 times out of 10. You might make a bobble here and there learning, but if you're honest with yourself about why you messed up and learn from it, just constantly be learning and evolving. You're limited to your knowledge every time. You don't understand the relationship between what you're doing, you're not going to be confident hitting it like that. And if you're just hitting it like that because you have to, you're going to get yourself hurt. You have to understand what you're doing.
It takes time. It takes time as an ATV racer to gain some of that knowledge. So these younger riders need to be patient and learn their craft.
Absolutely. No, I see parents doing it for all the right reasons, but they just they lose their path, they lose their foot, like their direction, and everyone's got a different path, and you just got to see yours for what it's worth and keep digging, just start digging.
I agree.
If you want to, you will. If you want to, you will go get it. It's that simple, man. If you guys got any questions, I'm always happy to help anybody. I remember I did this all myself, not on myself. My dad helped me for a long time, set great standards, great morals, great things with the racing. Taught me all about the safety, get away from the quad. That's probably the only reason I haven't ended up in the hospital multiple times, is my dad pounding in and get away from the quad in the event of a wreck. You can bounce off the dirt, you can bounce off a rock, you can bounce off a tree, but if that quad body slams you, you're going to get hurt. So that has saved me time and time again throughout my career. But yeah, just you want to go get it.
I agree. I totally agree. There's no reason why, if you have the desire, that you can't go out and grasp it. Cody, I always enjoy our conversations. Thank you so much for giving us some time. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, don't forget to share us with your family and friends. The podcast is available on all streaming platforms, and you can find us on social media as ATV-TALK Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter.